Hi, everybody. My name is Jennifer Fernandez. I am the early childhood subject matter expert here at School Specialty. And I'm going to talk to you just for a few minutes about something quick you can use from home and do at home to help your children learn. I have a collection of buttons. Every time I get a new shirt, sweater, has a button on it, I throw them in this little bag, throw it in my sewing box. Maybe think about collections that you might have at home. I'm going to use buttons as my example, but maybe you have other collections. Maybe you have a coin collection. Maybe you have where you're throwing all your spare change in a little jar. We have a whole box of Matchbox cars. Any kind of collection of this sort is something that can be used for the activities I'm going to show you. How about stuffed animals? My kids are big, so we've gotten rid of many of the stuffed animals, but we used to have a whole basket full. That will work for some of the activities I'm going to talk about today. So let's talk about buttons. What are some things that I could do with my collection of buttons that are helping my child to learn, or my student to learn something that they need to have as foundational skills? The very first thing is, can they do some matching? I've created a little prop here. I found a couple buttons that are the same, that match. So having children go through that collection and see, can they find two things that are the same? But then take it a little bit further. How do you know those two things are the same? Or why did you choose those two things to go together? Because it may not be just obvious, oh, they're the same shape, size, and color like my buttons were. So it's getting kids to think creatively and to think. And we have to ask the right questions for that to happen. After we've done some sorting, matching, we can do some sorting. So you can see here, and I'm sorry because the white card doesn't make the white buttons stand out very well, but I've done some small buttons and some large buttons and put those into groups. Again, asking children, could you find some of the buttons that go together? How do you think you could put these buttons together? Not dictating how they do it. You have to sort by color, you have to sort by size, you have to sort by shape, but actually taking a look at how they come up with for ways to sort. And then again, asking questions after they've made their groups. How did you do that? How did you decide that? Why are these in this group and why are these in this group? Because if they can describe what they're doing, that tells us a lot about their math skills. The next thing that we can do after sorting is sequencing. And I don't have an example of that, but can they put the buttons in order? Can they put from large to small? Maybe they can put them in groups by quantity, and they can put the group of 1 and then the group of 2 and then the group of 3. So putting sequencing by quantity is another activity that we can do. Patterning is something else we could do with our collections. I made a little example of patterning here. Yellow, yellow, green, green, yellow, yellow. Again, if we leave it open-ended, our children or students are going to come up with lots of different ways to do that. So it might be that they're putting them by sizes, by shapes, by colors. It could also be putting the 4-hold buttons and the 2-hold buttons in a pattern, putting back the buttons by those that are made out of fabric, those that are made of plastic, those that are made out of metal. So again, leaving it open-ended and seeing what exactly do our children or students come up with. All right, we've done some patterning, and then counting. And there's so many different ways to count depending on the age of your children. Having them just count by ones. How many buttons do we have? How many buttons in each group? And then for our older kids, we can put them in groups of 10s and count by 10s. Put them in groups of 5s, count by 5s. We can do skip counting or counting by 2. These are all skills that are important for mathematics. So just depending on where your child is at, what they are able to do. And then after we've done this sorting and counting, we can actually turn this into a graphing activity. You don't have to have anything fancy to make a graph, but you could start lining them up in the groups that you put them in and seeing which group has more, which group has less. Are any of the groups the same or equal? Very important concept and a very difficult concept for young children to learn. So it's not, again, just about doing the activity, but then what kind of questions are we asking and what are we talking about after they have done it? Do you see a group that's more than this group? Do you see a group that's less than this group? How about one more than this group? So all kinds of concepts with mathematics can be embedded into making a simple graph with our collections. Well, I've talked a lot about math, but there's more that can be done with these buttons and a lot of our other collections that I talked about. How about some art, some design? You could create a picture with those buttons. You could glue them onto something, or you could just lay them out and make a creation. Maybe you want to make some letters. I've got my T. Maybe you want to make some numbers. I've got number 7. Maybe you're going to make some shapes. So again, you're not only being creative and designing, but you're reinforcing letter concepts, number concepts, geometric concepts, etc. And then finally, we can play some games with these buttons. You can go on a button hunt, hide a few of them around the room and write down where you hide them, because then you won't remember where you hid them. You can have, and then you can give clues. Ooh, you're warm, you're cold, you're getting closer. Why don't you look under the table? And then you're embedding positional words, which is very important also for mathematics as well as science. You're doing some language development. You can hide the button, then have them hide the button, and you have to find it. So they're using the language to help you find it, to describe and give you clues. There's some problem solving and some thinking going on. There's even some listening skills. So you can do kind of an I spy a button near the kitchen, and doing those kinds of games. So just getting creative, look around your house, find those collections, and there you have about 8 or 9 things you can do that should keep you entertained for a while. And of course, there's some great learning going on.